Blake Cousins, Third Phase of Moon. Happy Halloween. We're doing it right now. We are live broadcasting. It's about 6:03 p.m. Hawaii time, and if some kids come around and they want to do some trick-or-treating, we got the lights on. We got some candy for everybody. So if I'm taking calls and I got to get away because the little kiddies come around, I got to give them some candy. Well, that's what I got to do. But in the meanwhile, we're going to be broadcasting live. And the number to call in tonight, if you got a UFO sighting you want to share tonight, is 347-934-0378. That's 347-934-0378. We're doing this live, Third Phase of Moon special Halloween. And we're going to be getting to calls tonight, hopefully in regards to new UFO sightings. New encounters, it gets quite strange. And some of the people, it takes a lot of guts for them to call in and share their stories. People get quite emotional. We go for wild rides. And all I ask is for people to have an open mind, just to have an open mind and know that when people call in, they want to share something to the world. So let's bring in the callers right now. See if we can bring them in. Let's see if area code 401 is there. We're live. Welcome to the show. All right, 401 just knocked out. Okay, we're going to go to an unlisted line. Let's see if they're there. Hello. Speak up.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Happy Halloween.
Is this Blake? Am I on?
Yep, you're on. You're live, Third Phase Moon. How you doing tonight, sir?
Okay, good. I'm glad I got through. Wasn't expecting it that quick. Hey, I got to tell you a story that happened back in 1994, just around the Northridge earthquake we had out here. And there was a friend of mine.
Absolutely. So you're in California during the Northridge earthquake. Can I get your name? And then, let's hear your story. Thanks for joining us this Halloween night.
Yeah, my name is Danny. And
all right, Danny, let's hear it.
At the time, I was living in Palmdale. And so we were working in this house in the Simi Valley. So we got to talking to some of the crews, a crew member there, and he was telling me that his boss does a lot of work for the government contractor. And so he had a job to do out here in Palmdale. Excuse me, my throat's getting dry. And he said that the strangest thing happened. He was going down to his location, him and his boss, with his truck loaded with material and steel frame, because they're going to build offices. So they're just driving, and then they were about an hour, and then they come up to this fence, and then there was a white truck, kind of like a tan, he said, that met them there, and then they drove on that. After they got past that fence, they drove a little further out, and until they saw this big old barn sitting out in the middle of nowhere. They pulled inside there, and he says that he went down, got out, went down an elevator, like a service elevator, went down. He said it was the longest elevator ride down, about 2 or 3 minutes down, he said. And so they were there for a couple of days. And then his boss says, hey, we need to go back up and get materials. Now, when they turned around, he goes, turn around but don't stare. And when they did that, they picked up some materials. They saw this, he said exactly that it was a flying saucer hovering above the ground. And you could just see all the heat just radiating from underneath. And so we got something going on out here in Palmdale, like some underground stuff that he said that he was working on. Really strange. And I just thought, hey, I got to tell Blake this, man, because this is crazy. So
wow,
that's my story.
That's amazing. And you're the first caller. It is Halloween night, and that's just your friends must have been so kind of overwhelmed with what they were dealing with and what they just witnessed. And you said they went down an elevator about 2 to 3 minutes. Let me tell you, I've been in Los Angeles. I've been in pretty much every single high rise in the big city. And, you could get to the top quicker than that in some of these high rises. So you're saying that these underground bases, they could go down to 80 to 90 floors.
Yeah, the strangest thing that he told me, he just said that he was just driving and there was a barn, like an old beat-up barn, and there was like offices. There was nothing, for one thing, he says they couldn't go anywhere without being escorted. If they had to go to the restroom, you tell the guy, and he went with you. And they couldn't, if they needed more material, they send their own guys out to get the material. It was really strange. He was there for about 2 months, and he says that he swore that he was never going to tell anybody what kind of work he did. All he said was he worked for the government, but he just told me that story, and it was like, I couldn't believe that. I mean, I believe it, but I just couldn't believe that he was telling me this, seeing this disc out there in the middle of nowhere, hovering above the ground. So,
wow. What we need to do is get some Google Earth coordinates to this exact unknown location, this barn in the middle of nowhere. And then he saw this flying disc above. So he was working there for 2 months, wherever this undisclosed area is. And he was underground most of the time or above ground? What was his exact duty there?
He was working underground, putting these metal studs and just basically hanging drywall, making these cubicle offices. And nobody can go there, and it was him and his boss. And he was originally from Colorado, but because of the earthquake we had in '94, there was a lot of people from all over the states coming and working out here in California. And so, and this guy, I knew him for about a year, and I never knew him to sit there and tell me some bogus stories, but it was really bizarre in what he said. I know there's something going on. I know that. I live in Lancaster,
Absolutely.
So I all kinds of weird stuff out here flying around. So.
Yeah, there's hidden bases throughout the United States, underground bunkers, and who knows what they're storing in them. But to have this eyewitness account above ground of this disc flying object, he said he saw some kind of radiated energy coming off of that. Can you give me a little bit more detail on how he described this?
He says it was round and it was real smooth, and it was just a perfect circle, almost like stainless steel, but not so shiny. And he said it was hovering above the ground. He was about 50, 60 yards away, so he guessed probably about 12, 13 feet in the air. And he says that it was just a lot of heat coming from underneath it. And it was the middle of summer, too, but, you don't see stuff like that out there in Palmdale. So that was his story to me.
What's kind of interesting, too, is because, the military, they need people to build infrastructure. And militaries, they're not professionals in doing drywall and dealing with steel beams. The military's got their own jobs to do, and so do scientists, reverse engineering this alien technology. So they got to bring in a common worker that knows his skill in drywall or what have you in construction. So obviously these guys have clearance to some top secret facilities. So this makes a lot of sense to me on how people do have access to this kind of stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. And like the other day, about 3 days ago, I was in my office here, my little room here, and I felt a rumbling, like there was something underneath the ground. It wasn't an earthquake, because I know what it feels like, because I live in earthquake country. But this was just almost like a vibration if you were to I don't know if you ever felt those palm sanders, like a Makita palm sander.
Yeah, a lot of sanding in my life and dealing with a lot of woodwork. Yeah, definitely vibrating. And then once you're done with the machine, your hand still has a tingle for minutes on afterwards, depending on how long you use the thing.
Right, exactly. So I felt this. It was probably for about maybe 2-3 seconds, and I go, "Whoa, my dogs were barking," But it was the whole ground was, and then it stopped. And all these sonic booms out there, but with no aircraft flying around. It's almost a daily occurrence with these sonic booms out here, and there's no planes around anywhere. So it's kind of strange indeed. There are things that they're doing underground, deep below the surface. And who knows what they're experimenting on. Fracking is dealing with a lot of earthquakes. They're generating earthquakes. Obviously, it's gone on the rise in certain areas where fracking's going on. But there's other things that come to mind, like some high-frequency action, HAARP, CERN comes to mind. And who knows what it's all about, how it's affecting us. But, man, I really appreciate you calling in tonight on our Halloween special. Appreciate it. Right.
Maybe you want to stick around, and we're going to be getting some more callers. Maybe people have some questions for you.
Sure. I'll listen to the show. I'm glad. I listen to it every time you guys are on. So.
Man, hey, thanks for joining us. And, stand by. And everybody, if you've got a UFO sighting and you want to share it tonight, this Halloween, the number 347-934-0378. That's the number. Blake Cousins, everybody stand by. We got a lot of callers, and we will be getting to them. It is Halloween. Hang on, people. Third Phase Moon, we are broadcasting live October 31st, 2016, and we are broadcasting live from Hawaii, taking your calls in regards to the UFO phenomenon. And you just heard our first caller who claims his buddy, a drywaller, was on contract at a secret military base. He worked there for 2 months, witnessed a flying saucer, and it doesn't surprise me. We're going to bring in ex-military and F1's here. And is it unusual to hire contractors that aren't military to build infrastructure for the military on top secret locations, top secret bases? F1, you there?
Yep, not at all. It's not weird at all.
Hey, man, happy Halloween. Let me ask you, so what do you think of the caller's statements from his friend that was working at some kind of secret base that goes down way deep at somewhere in Palmdale?
Yep, it's perfect because Palmdale is very much, even though it's in, beautiful California here, it's pretty remote. There's some bases that have been closed that were out there before, and it is pretty stable land. It's been there. It's mostly kind of just desert, and it's when the military calls in outside contractors, it's not because they don't have people to do it, because actually the Seabees are some of the best construction people you could ever have. And the thing is, that they have so much going on, they need outside contractors to do it, because just to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. The military and scientists are there to do their own thing, and then who's going to build it? Who's going to build it? But the big question is, how do they kind of suppress these, common people? How do they suppress what they just saw? That's a tricky thing. I know a lot of people.
Personnel, actually, because you threaten just your average civilian contractor, and they feel, first of all, it's a great way for them to continuously make money because there are endless jobs from the government, the military. But not only that, they feel special and, they're serving their country. But the threats are probably more effective on civilians than they are military, if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Civil contractors, they have families, they're dealing with kids, they got families to support, and a simple threat could go a long way in regards to somebody that, is on the inside and, have the clearance. So, yeah, I could understand that. Let's bring in some other callers. We got some callers on. Stand by, F1. Let's get to them right now. Area code 504. We're live, and it is Halloween. Welcome to the show.
Yes, I was just listening in right now.
All right, no problem. Okay, let's bring in, 805. We're live, Third Phase of Moon. You there?
How you doing? I was just listening in as well.
All right, man. Happy Halloween. Let's a lot of listening in people. I'm sure they want to listen in. Go to our radio show on the blog radio. There's a link, and you can listen to it there. Let's keep the lines open tonight. Area code 626. It is Halloween. Welcome to the show. We're live. You there?
Yeah. I was just wondering, what's up with Dr. J. Elias? Haven't heard. Do you have any news on him?
Yeah, Dr. J. Andy Elias. Yeah, he has his own channel, and it's called Dr. J. Andy Elias, and you could always look him up. He's on YouTube. He's interviewing a lot of people out there, and he's still around. He's still around uploading videos, and he does his radio show. So check out Dr. J on his YouTube channel. Hey, thanks for the question. Let's bring in area code 714. We're live, and it is Halloween. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Blake.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Pretty good. Yeah, been a long time listener, man. Glad I'm gotten in here. Got a couple stories here, actually. I actually had to write a list. Just weird things going on, man. All right. So first one.
All right, what's your name? What's your name? Where do these sightings stay? Sorry, go ahead.
California, Orange County area. So yeah, one day actually, we're just out in the backyard, just out with the kids, and happen to look up in the sky, and I see literally what looked to me, the way I can explain it, as far as how it moved in the sky, like a plastic bag would, and it wasn't super windy to where it would move as fast as it was going. Then it just disappeared behind a cloud, and I had time to even call my mom out. She was, she saw it, the kids saw it. I tried to grab my telescope, and literally right before I can see it, it was gone. So that's one weird thing. Another night, I'm out, looking, just staring at the moon with my telescope. Yeah, I know, or some, I'm going to say it's an asteroid or a rock, because that's the best I can explain that one. Just big black object going real slow, rotating, going past the moon. Tripped me out. I just wish I would have, had a telescope that records, but I don't, unfortunately. Just going down the list here. Oh, this one I actually did get video of. This one just totally creeped me out, man. And it was a nice, clear day. There was literally no clouds in the sky, man. And I happened to capture this on video for a span of 4 minutes in the middle of nowhere, right nearby my house. And I'll email you this too. Just a cloud starts forming, little tiny cloud. And it wasn't normal, when you look at clouds, they take their time to form. This thing, in a matter of 4 minutes, it formed, and it seemed to do like a circle, like if something was in the middle of it. And then another one formed below it, and then they just both just disappeared. And I'm talking less than 4.5 minutes that this happened, right above my house. Totally just creeped me out.
Yeah, there is a lot of cloud sightings over here in Hawaii. We got clouds everywhere, and they dissipate and form in pretty quickly. So I get a lot of this cloud footage of people that say they're forming very quickly. It's impossible. Sometimes I guess it could be, but I just don't see it all the time. But man, when you see things in front of the moon and things blinking in and out, zooming at a super rate of speed. Now that's really cool stuff. That's cool stuff. But yeah, trying to capture UFOs with a telescope, it's tricky. It's tricky unless you're pretty experienced in trying to capture long distance with a telescope. It could get quite shaky. So especially if you don't have a tripod, but most people do have a tripod. But I like it when these UFOs, when they show up close and you can see them with your naked eye. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. Now let's get some more callers. Let's see if we can knock out that background sound, 978. Hey, thanks for waiting. You're live, Third Phase of Moon.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going? Happy Halloween.
Hey, happy Halloween. How's it going, Blake? Yeah, no, man, I just, I was wondering what was the update on that blinking star in the sky. I'd seen one of the videos that you did, and you were kind of explaining about that flickering star. I just wanted to know if you had any more information on it, because I know that you said flickering star, and that sounds like one, but when I look up there, I see a couple of them. And not only just a flickering star, I also see a bright red star it doesn't blink, it's just up there, and it's very bright red.
Well, let me, I went out last night. It was really clear. I saw the stars, and I saw this red light in the sky as well, in the nighttime sky. And I got to tell you, I think that's just Mars. If it's red and it's not twinkling, it's probably a planet, in my opinion. And the stars are the ones that twinkle. But the star that I think you're referring to is the star known as KIC, K-I-C, and it's way out there. It's just like most stars are. But in this case, scientists can't explain on why it's fluctuating in and out the way it is, because they don't see any planets blocking it, and they think, they haven't ruled it out yet, but they possibly could be comets making it flicker as it's in front of this star system. But then other people are saying that there could be a diasphere, some kind of massive machine built around the sun trying to harness energy off of it. So when this machine harnesses energy off the sun, it dims in and out, and it seems like there's a consistent pattern that really resembles some kind of intelligence. So now you got $100 million going into this project, funded by Zuckerberg, a couple other big-time billionaires out there, and then it's going to be going along with the Hawkins project. I don't know exactly what the name of the project is. I could look it up, but yeah, so they're putting a lot of money into pointing the largest steerable telescopes in the direction of that star, hopefully to try and find out the mystery behind its fluctuations. The thing is, I got a feeling when they find out what it is, do you think they're going to tell us, especially when they're putting in all that kind of money? I got a feeling they're going to keep it to themselves, but it is a public, well, they're private companies, but at least it's not the military, so maybe they might give us some trickle-down information of what they discover, but we'll wait and see, because they're dealing with the SETI Institute as well. SETI, and they're in search of extraterrestrial intelligence. And all we've gotten from them is the WOW signal, and there's been hundreds of millions of dollars put into that, and we haven't got very much out of these guys. And I'm sure they've gotten frequencies that they're not telling us. But maybe I'm wrong. I want to get F1's opinion on this. What do you think? Is SETI straight up? Do you think these billionaires are going to tell us what's up with this flickering star known as Kick?
Well, I believe they started out in that direction, but if you noticed, they got shut down for a while because I use one of my high RAM 2 terabyte devices to actually monitor for SETI, and the project kind of got shut down for a while. And what I think happens in that scenario, since they went back up, is they're allowed to go back up, but they have to play by the rules, kind of like what Bigelow started out to be. But even him with his money, now he is definitely an agent working for the government. You know, they probably told him that we won't prosecute you and take everything that you have if you agree to let us run our institutions through your ownership so that it comes under a private corporation, which for some reason there are laws that say that private corporations, you do not have the ability to trespass on that property, or they are also immune to investigation. So I think the same thing happened with SETI because, like I said, I was with them for a long time. They got shut down. Then they got reopened about a year and a half later. And like most institutions that have already sunk so much of their own personal capital into the project, when you get threatened with or get shut down, and the only way you can continue is through an agreement with the powers that be. I don't think that SETI now is a pure source.
Yeah, definitely. It almost seems to me like MUFON in their own way. They were in its infant stage. They were genuine with the information that they're trying to receive and put out to the public. But then they get infiltrated by a higher power, higher influence of people that want to retain the knowledge. And so then they start to basically bribe or offer a lot of money to have access and privilege to privy information and not get it out to the world because they want it for themselves. I remember, like F1 just said, I was part of SETI too. I downloaded the program. I was helping with the research as millions of others were around the world. And then all of a sudden they stopped it. I wonder why they stopped it for that short amount of time and then restarted it. I wonder what was happening during that shutdown period, F1.
Well, that's funny because, I promise, I swear to God, I was just about to add in kind of similar that the path that MUFON took. And you said it, literally seconds after I was about to say it. But, it's kind of like this, too. And I don't know if a lot of our listeners have this information, but the whole thing about East Coast colleges, and since I'm not recalling exactly, I thought it was Brown and some other institutes on the East Coast, they were being paid by the government, and they got caught through emails that they were falsifying information and readings and criteria and actual fudging the numbers to make global warming more believable. But emails actually got intercepted, and that's just another institution that gets to do what the initial goal was, and they could only complete it if they fell under federal compliance by the people that were funding them, which was the government.
Yeah, it's definitely mind-boggling. There's so much common sense that people or governments don't want to utilize because it's not going to help them out or these people that are in charge. And I want to get back to the UFO subject matter here shortly, and we've got calls coming in, but I wanted to confirm if this is really, really true, because this sounds ludicrous if you ask me. Is it really against the law for people in Las Vegas to buy and own solar panels for their homes?
I have no idea. But one thing I could tell you here that's really weird is that for the last several days, and I'm guessing it's coming from Camp Pendleton, that we're hearing the most consistent, long-term, all morning, all night, going into 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, one after the other, and it sounds like an explosion, implosion, and the pattern is such that I've never witnessed before. I mean, usually you can hear a pattern that would make sense with large projectiles or a series of 6 or so explosions or implosions, but I'm talking about rapid fire, and I live at this point miles away from that facility, and we're separated by several little mountain or hill or whatever kind of ranges that you want, but the sound and the consistency is to the point where I'm looking at my wife, who has several clients in that area, and she's like, what the heck is going on? It's very unusual.
Yeah, that would be concerning. Like I said, what's rumbling the ground? Where's this coming from? Are they sonic booms? We just don't know, and it sounds like millions of people are experiencing this all throughout the United States and around the world. We have this coming in from a listener and from Las Vegas. They say they really crack down on people that are using solar panels because we only have one power company and they're trying to rule us. So that's coming in. They said they treat everybody terribly and are unfortunately it's their only option. This is coming in from Ann Overdose from Vegas. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight and thanks for your insight from Vegas. Wow, that's amazing. Why these guys live out in the desert. There's no clouds hardly in the sky, hardly rains. They have access to sun pretty much 12 hours a day, and they're not allowed to use solar panels. Now, that makes a lot of sense. I guess the people that are in power, they know the big secret. They got the free energy. They're not going to tell anybody about it, and then they're going to make everybody pay for the oil because why give it away for free? Why give energy away for free? What a silly, silly idea. All right. Let's get to other callers. It's Halloween night, and it is Third Phase of Moon Radio. So let's do it. 978. Hey, thanks for waiting. You're live, Third Phase of Moon.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
I was the one that was just talking to you about that flickering star thing. And you should look at the video, though. You should check out the video that they have on YouTube about that flickering star. That way you can see it up close.
Yeah, I don't think they're seeing it that up close yet. Not that I'm aware of, but maybe we'll take a look at that. Maybe it's true. I'm not sure. Let's go to 602. We're live, Third Phase Moon. Welcome to the show. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, Blake, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear. How you doing, sir?
Just fine. My name's George.
Hey, George. Happy Halloween.
Well, thank you, man. Happy Halloween to you, too.
Well, glad you made it. Glad you made it tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to share my my abduction experience. It happened in 1965. And it's been going on. It's been going on for a while in my life. It hasn't happened lately, but it's been a few years. But through most of my life, these abductions have been going on.
All right. How about this, George? Just stand by. This sounds very important. I want to get to it. I want to get to George's abduction experience. It sounds like he's got a few of them that he wants to share with us, and this sounds important to me. So everybody stand by. Let's take a quick break, a quick breather. Maybe some kids are coming to the door. Got to give some candy out. It is Halloween. We'll be right back, and we're going to get back with George. Wow, this sounds like a interesting call-in. Stand by, everybody. Third Phase of Moon.
Now we have an unidentified flying object.
We're back live. Blake Cousins here, Third Phase of Moon, Halloween night, taking calls from around the world. And we have George, who just called in moments ago, and we're going to hear his abduction experience. George, welcome back to the show. And let's start off. When did you realize that you were being abducted? And where was this happening?
Thanks, Blake. My earliest recall was when I was a child. I was 4 years old. And this happened in Santa Ana, California. There's actually, later, I found that there was a man that was working out there in Santa Ana at the same time that I started having these experiences. His name was Rex Heflin. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he took some photographs, and he took photographs of the craft that I saw and it was abducted in. If you take a look at the Rex Heflin photographs of 1965, you'll see the craft that I saw and that I was taken in. When I was a child, playing in the backyard, my mother's backyard, and there was a cloud that used to show up over my head. It was always the same place and its same shape. And I would look up at that cloud, and the craft would come out from behind that cloud and would watch me while I was playing in the backyard. And that was my earliest recollection of the craft and the well, they were aliens. There's no doubt about it. They were aliens. It wasn't long after that to where I had my first abduction experience, where I was taken up into the craft. I remember as a child I was floating through the house, and I floated past my parents' bedroom, and I could see that my mother was laying in bed, and she woke up and she saw me, and she tried to jump up to grab me, and then she immediately fell back asleep, but my father wasn't in the bed. And then my next memory that I had was I was inside the craft, and my father was there. And he was screaming. And I was just a boy. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand why my father was screaming. But I could see that he was staring at something inside the room, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs. And he was absolutely terrified. Me myself, being a child, I wasn't afraid. I didn't have any fear, but I was just didn't really understand what was going on. And that was my earliest recollection that I have.
Have you witnessed the beings? Can you explain what they look like?
They were grays. As I got older, the memories get clearer. Most of my memories are it's not total recall. It's patchy. I get flashes of memory. I've been considering going to a hypnotherapist and having regression therapy done, but I'm not quite sure that I want to remember it all, because some of the memories that I do have were quite terrifying.
Such as?
Well, as I got older, they were testing on me. They when I got to the age to where I was producing testosterone, they were taking sperm samples and they were doing anal probes. And I remember being very, very upset up there that they were doing these things to me. And I remember many times being very uncooperative, but there was one gray there that would telecommunicate with me. The others never communicated. They were just doing whatever that they were doing, and there was one that would communicate with me, and he would talk with me in my mind, and he would always calm me down the conversation. He'd call me by my name, and he would answer my questions, and he would talk, and he would communicate in a very calm, non-threatening manner, and he was always able to calm me down. Later on, there was, I remember seeing Men in Black. The Men in Black were not very compassionate, let's say. They were very...
what was their demeanor? What was their demeanor? And where did you confront the Men in Black, or where did they confront you? There
was one that I remember in particular. He was into craft, and he was very impatient with me and rather brutal.
Wait,
he was pretty brutal.
Wait,
huh?
Well, you're saying the Men in Black was in the alien craft?
He was in the.
Wow.
There was two of them. One didn't talk. The other one was really. He was very impatient, and because I wasn't being very cooperative, and I remember him grabbing me and throwing me down on a table. He put his face right into mine, and he said, "You're not gonna remember this anyway." And that was the last flash that I remember of him. There was a time I remember being in a place. There was a lot of people there. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a swap meet or something where I saw him. I actually saw him. And when I first saw him, pardon me?
The same Man in Black, the guy that threw you down aboard the alien craft. Now you see him in a swap market. It's the same guy.
Same guy, but he wasn't wearing his black suit. But it was the same guy, and as soon as I saw him, I knew him. The alarm bells went off. I said, I looked at him, and I thought, I know this guy from someplace, but I could not place him. The memory was gone. And he looked at me, and I saw it in his face that he recognized me immediately. And I stared at him, and I was staring at him, and I couldn't place him. And then he slipped into the crowd. And I wanted to go after him, and then I thought, well, I don't know who this guy was, but I knew that I knew him, and it took months for the memory to come back and for me to place where I saw him and where I knew him from. So, most of these memories, Blake, it's not total recall, it's flashes, and I didn't even really start to put it all together until later on in life. There was always something in my mind that would tell me that it was a dream, or it was like there was like planted memories that would tell me, oh, this was a dream, don't worry about it, or this was a guardian angel. Or there was always something that would pop up in my head that would make me think that, that there was a logical, reasonable explanation for it. It wasn't until later in life to where I put it all together and I realized that there's no way this was all real. These were all real experiences that I've had.
Wow. Let me ask you, what did your parents do for a living? Any military background?
No military background. My father was an electrician, and my mother was a nurse. Now, my mother, she's early in life, she spoke to me about it. she asked me because she said that she would see little men in the house at night. And she asked me if I seen the little men in the house, and I told her. I said, yeah. And her and I tried to talk to my father about it, but he would never want to talk about it. He would just stare at us. I'm sure that he has memories, but he's never spoken about it. To this day, he still doesn't.
Maybe
still won't talk to me about it.
Maybe he didn't know how to deal with it. That's how some people want to just basically clam up, not tell anybody about their experience, especially when it's out of your hands. And he's a father of a family, and he's like, wow, I'm having problems with dealing with it myself, and now I really have no control of what's going on. And my families are basically victims of this. If this is some kind of some people are saying this might be, well, a covert black ops possible alien abduction. Basically, what I'm trying to say is Dr. Greer's been saying, and I don't know if I agree with him 100%, because he says there's no such thing as alien abductions anymore. Basically, all alien abductions are dealing with black ops. And when you said that MIB were aboard the craft with you, now that brings up a little red flag that there is some kind of possible military involvement here. What do you think?
Throughout my life, I've seen craft more than once. The first one was that one from that Rex Heflin got a picture of, and there was orbs. I've seen orbs on several occasions. And my experience is I do recall one time being in some kind of a military establishment. There was an officer sitting behind a desk, and he was asking me questions, but I can't recall what the questions were, and I can't recall much more than that. It just it was just one of those flashes.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
That's weird. So some military possible flashbacks. What about strange scars? Any kind of scars, possible implants within your body?
I've been looking, and I've never seen one. I can't find one, but yeah, that's crossed my mind. But I've never noticed anything. Unless it's on my back or in an area where I can't see, I don't see anything obvious. No.
Well, George, with your testimony tonight and you sharing your story has enlightened a lot of people tonight, in my opinion, because they have a lot of similar experiences, the same as you. And sometimes hypnotic therapy is a good thing, and sometimes it's not, because like you just said, do you want to remember everything in vivid detail or what exactly happened to you in regards to this alien abduction phenomenon? Well, maybe not. Maybe our brains have our own defense mechanisms to suppress memory when it's too horrific, because our brains can't handle this. And maybe this is a case that you might want to make a wise decision if you're going to do this hypnotic therapy, because I got a feeling there's going to be a lot more things that would be revealed. It'll be revealed to you. And if you want to go down that road, well, that might be a big, scary adventure. But, wow, I appreciate you calling in, George, because that took a lot of guts. And it's not easy telling everybody your story, I'd imagine.
Well, I haven't really spoken to anybody about it. I had one friend that I spoke with, and the only reason I spoke with him is because he had an experience that he told me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have told him. But he said,
well, that's right. It's all about people sharing their experience, because if nobody speaks up about something, then nobody's going to want to share what happened to them, especially in this kind of world and in dealing with this kind of subject matter. It's a good thing that we have friends and people that have the same experiences because, wow, nobody would know anything at this point.
Yeah, well, that's basically why I called, Blake. I'm getting older, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to give give my story. So I just took the opportunity to call and to put it out there for anybody else. I know that there's plenty of people out there that have had abduction experiences, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that have and haven't said anything, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there also that have had it and aren't aware of it. And I don't know if my experience has been a help to anybody. Well, that's well, I hope so.
Well, absolutely, it did, George. It did, and it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of guts, and I'm sure glad that you got to share your story to the world. And it will be on our YouTube channel here coming up later tonight, where the world will be seeing it. We have over 350, approaching 360,000 subscribers, and we're up to 200 and something million views. 200 million views. So the world is listening. They want to hear your story. It's obvious. So that's so amazing, George. I appreciate you calling in so much. Keep in touch. Keep in touch if anything goes down. Wow, that's incredible. Halloween night special Third Phase Moon radio show. I just want to get a minute of F1's reaction to George's testimony that we've just heard.
Well, I'm just glad that I had the ability to find one of the guys that helped me was Brian Mike. And this is what I'm going to say about George's whole story and his demeanor. It's amazing when you spend all the painstaking time and you start to weed out things that are just common to people that are telling the truth. What George said about his age, he almost sounds like he's my age, but when he first got contacted was very similar to my age. And not only that, the talking with his mom and how everything he described about how you slowly are able to put flashes of memories with instances, and it's interesting, it seems to be the common amount of time is about 25 to 30 years with most people, where it's almost like the anesthesia wears off to your brain to dull and forget your memories, that it starts coming back. And when he said that his dad stared at him when his mom and he approached the subject, I got the same kind of look from my mom. Thank God. I thought she was, not wanted to live anymore, and so I started to ask her questions that I always wanted to ask her before I didn't have that opportunity. And that look, to me, is kind of like, wow, you finally remembered that. I hoped you never would. And the other part of that look is they almost feel sorry or remorse that they couldn't do anything to protect you. And that's kind of like what his dad was probably doing, looking at him. And it's funny because, I've had examples in all kinds of weird stuff happen. When I was in Santa Ana, I used to play at a golf course there almost every other day, and we would stay afterwards at night and play poker till probably 12 or 1 in the morning with the permission of the owners of the course. And that's also at Borders Garden Grove, where I told you that incident happened in 2011. That is on YouTube. You can see it, Garden Grove UFO with police escorts. Everything that George said, I guarantee you he's authentic, and it's so cool.
Yes, that's what I'm saying too. That's what I'm saying. That's just amazing. Thank you, F1. It's at the wrap of our Halloween special show. Thank you, F1, for joining us and your insight. And your encounters as well. Everybody, thanks for calling in. It takes a lot of guts, like I said, to share your UFO stories, and we appreciate it. We'll be back this Friday taking your calls again in regards to this UFO phenomenon. Same time, everybody. Same time. Join us this Friday. And don't forget, keep your eyes on the skies. This is Blake Cousins. We're not alone. Happy Halloween, everybody. Be safe.